Welcome to the Digital Ecommerce Podcast, hosted by Dylan Lam, where we explore the cutting-edge strategies, tools, and insights shaping the world of e-commerce today. In this episode, we're thrilled to have Joseph Wilkins, founder of funnysalesvideos.com and Pro Creative Studios. With over 2 decades of experience, Joseph has produced campaigns for some of the world's most iconic brands, like Google, LinkedIn, and McDonald's, delivering over 1 billion views and $250 million in tracked sales through his viral-style videos. Joseph also shares his expertise on his podcast, How to Make a Video Go Viral, breaking down an 8-step process anyone can use to create high-converting, laugh-out-loud content. If you're curious about why humor sells, how to make videos that stick, and the secrets behind viral success, you're in the right place. Let's dive in.
Joseph, would you mind to give us an introduction about yourself, please?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me. So like you said, about 23, 24 years ago, I started out doing television infomercials. My very first project was the Little Giant Ladder infomercial that some viewers may recognize. Did over $200 million in sales with one infomercial, which kind of got me hooked. And then for the next probably 15 years, I was very focused on television, direct response, long form and short form. But as you know, people don't watch TV the way that they used to. They certainly don't watch commercials the way that they used to. And so we've realized that we needed to pivot and find out, where are those people now in a place that we can advertise to them? And the obvious answer is online in one form or another. But the problem is you can't just run the same kind of commercials you used to run on TV and expect people to watch them, expect people to respond to them. You used to have a captured audience, or in the world of infomercials, you had someone at 1 a.m. that was flipping through the channels and didn't have, many other options. And if you were clever enough, you could catch them. But now, we measure our retention in seconds, sometimes milliseconds. And so you gotta do something different. You gotta be creative. You gotta hook them. You've got to earn their interest. And that's why we really made a huge pivot 6 or so years ago when I started funnysalesvideos.com, which is pretty much all we focus on, or at least 90% of what we focus on is creating video ads that don't feel like video ads. They feel more like, the reason why you're on these platforms in the first place, which is entertainment. We kind of talk about our ads as sketch comedy with ad elements sneaked in every now and then. And we've found, when we replace our clients' boring ads with our funny creative ads, we have case study after case study on our website where, we double, triple, quadruple, in one case, 10 times more sales than what they were getting with their boring ads. And, we have videos that have done, we have one video that has 500 million views. And so far we've generated $250 million in sales because of these principles that we'll talk about today, which can help any business owner to increase their sales.
Amazing. Just looking at your vibe right now, if you guys are on in front of YouTube, look at his background. Is that like a candy machine?
You mean my studio? Yeah. It's a gumball machine.
Oh God!
My kids steal them every now and then, and I have to keep filling them up.
Such a cool vibe. Like before he can turn to the video, I was looking at his video, I was laughing all the way until he come back in. I was like, oh my God, this guy's a real deal here. Anyway, I hope that you learned something from Joseph today. So Joseph, why is humor such a powerful tool in ad campaign today?
Well, I'm sure that you've watched, I'm not a big football fan, at least not the kind where you use your hand most of the time. I call that handball. But anyway, American football, the Super Bowl is the quintessential platform for advertising, the most expensive real estate for advertising. And what do 95% of those ads use? They use humor. Why? Because it is one of the most effective ways to connect with someone and genuinely connect with them, right? If you can stir up an emotion in somebody, you're leaps and bounds ahead of anything else. And we like to say that our ads are back to my roots, they're all about direct response, right? The name is Funny Sales Videos, but it's not about being funny. It's about selling. But after 25 years of creating all kinds of videos, we've never seen the kinds of results that we get with really good humor. And, there's a difference between humor and really good humor. We've all seen ads that just make us cringe, ads when somebody clearly had an idea that they thought would be funny, but by the time you get from something in your brain to something that's scripted, to something that's on a teleprompter, to something that the actor delivers, to editing it and finally posting it, there's a million and one things that can go wrong that make it not funny. And so getting something that really is funny is an art, and we can talk about, ways that your audience can avoid some of the pitfalls. But to get back to your question, why is humor so effective? It definitely helps with retention, right? So I'm immediately going to lean in if it's something that I can see is going to be entertaining, going to be funny. But there's study after study that have found that humor is actually one of the best ways to make people remember you. Because if you think about it, if you just do the action of smiling, that fires neuroreceptors. And I'm no scientist, but I have read a lot of studies that talk about the psychology, the brain science of when you can get somebody to smile, they will remember you so much more than if it's just a boring, ho-hum ad. So our number one goal with our videos is an immediate response, but a very close second goal is to brand. And those two, direct response and branding have, never really been in the same bucket. Infomercials are notorious for this, right? They don't care if you remember them because you're never going to see that product again if you don't buy. But with these ads, you actually do both. You can get direct response, but if they don't buy, at least they like you and they'll remember you the next time that they see, a pop-up banner or maybe your product in a store or, some other impression that they get. You're already ahead of the curve because they like you and they remember you. So those are two quick reasons why humor is just so much more effective, in my opinion, than most other ways of running ads.
Would you like to tell us some of the most successful video that you have done, and how do they actually go viral, and how are they according to the trend?
Yeah, great question. So I'll answer your second part of that question first, because that's really important for your listeners to understand. We don't create viral videos. Now, there's a caveat there, but we create videos, and anyone that will tell you these days that they can make you go viral, even on these newer platforms like TikTok, you really can't get a video to go viral on legacy platforms like YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. Their algorithms are developed to favor those that pay to play. So really what we do is we create videos that are so engaging, so entertaining, that when we spend, or when our clients spend $1 to run that ad, it returns 2, 3, 4, 5, like I said, up to 10 times more sales than that same ad when you spent $1 to run it if it was boring. So the goal is to think about this like a vending machine that's full of $100 bills that only cost $20 to use. How many times would you want to put $20 into that vending machine, right? Unlimited. It's about creating a video that is so engaging that two things happen. Number one, your sales are a lot higher because of the engagement rates, but also number two, the social platforms will see that people are liking that video, that they're sharing that video. There is some virality. I mean, it's probably less than 10% of the success, but there is still an element of virality. But the other thing is, these social platforms see that people like the video, and so your cost to run it goes down. Your click-through rates go up. We have one client, again, your first part of the question was, give me some examples. True Earth Eco Strips was one of our very first clients. Those guys are creating a revolutionary product that's a laundry detergent that doesn't use plastic, that comes in cardboard. It's kind of dehydrated laundry detergent. And our very first campaign for them has over 500 million views. I mean, just an outrageously successful campaign. And some of the side effects of that were that people started to ask for that product by name because they were watching it, they were sharing it. It went viral. The second day we launched it, it was number 2 in Amazon under personal care, organically. Zero ads run on Amazon at that time. It was just that people were seeing the video on Facebook, going over to Amazon to see it, and that organically skyrocketed their organic reach on Amazon. It also led to retail stores calling them, asking them, we need to start selling your product, because people are coming into the supermarkets asking for it by name. They actually had their buyers that had been for years trying to get into certain supermarkets, and the people at the supermarkets wouldn't sell their product because nobody had heard of it. Right. Well, after our campaign, the reverse started happening. They were calling truer. So there's all kinds of knock-on effects. They actually started running billboards and TV commercials with our hero character's face on it because it was so recognizable. So there's all kinds of knock-on effects of these kinds of campaigns, again, if done right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. So what exactly is the formula to get it done right?
Well, I mean, I've spoken at many events for hours just answering that one question, but I can give you in 8 steps what we do to not guarantee, but to make the best effort possible of a video having that kind of success. So actually the viewers or the listeners, depending on how you're consuming this platform, can download my free ebook that basically steps you through every one of these 8 steps in a lot more detail. If you go to funnysalesvideos.com and then put a /ebook, and you can download the ebook for free. But here are the 8 simple steps that we go through with every single project. Step number 1 is discovery, right? Nobody would ever write a letter and then walk to the mailbox and then decide, who should I address this to? Right? You got to know who you're writing to. And I'm not talking about just, demographics of women 21 to 35 who have an income of $100,000. I'm talking about psychographics, getting inside their mind, really creating a customer avatar that, you can speak to. So again, I go into a lot of detail of this in the ebook, but you do that by reading customer reviews. You do that by really finding out who is buying your product, or if you're a brand new product, who is buying your competitor's product. Go read hundreds of reviews if you can. With AI, it's really easy these days to go copy all of the customer reviews, bring them over into ChatGPT, have ChatGPT summarize what are the 5 key reasons that people say they like your product or that they like your competitor's product. Then look for a couple of reasons why they don't like your product, because you got to overcome those objections. Maybe it's too expensive. Maybe you don't have, I don't know what your specific products are out there, but think about what are the number 1 and 2 reasons why people don't buy your product, and then try to address those in the video. Step number 2 is to brainstorm. I mean, this is where most people get hung up. They're like, well, I have no idea where to start. And I always say, when it comes to brainstorming, you got to throw out judgment, right? The worst ideas will lead to the best ideas. Mm-hmm. It's about quantity over quality. So throwing out dozens and dozens and dozens of ideas of just the concept, what could this video be about? Who's the hero character in our story? What is their big problem that obviously your product is going to solve? But creating, fun, visually shocking, visually disruptive worlds can really help. But again, just brainstorm, throw out tons of ideas. And again, when we started this, we didn't have AI. ChatGPT and other forms of AI are fantastic at just throwing out random ideas. Then, collecting those ideas and distilling it down to the one that you're going to use as your concept, which takes us to step 3, which is the scripting. So your scripts or every one of our videos, if you go to funnysalesvideos.com and watch some of those videos that you were talking about earlier, everyone follows the same kind of formula. It's about a hero character that in most cases represents the customer, who has a big problem, who then finds a guide who gives them the solution, transforms their life, and shows why it's better. And it follows the Donald Miller story brand formula of every Hollywood movie you've ever seen. Think about Star Wars. You've got Luke Skywalker, who is the hero, but he's not the hero yet because he's got a big problem. He doesn't know who he is. He finds the guide, Obi-Wan Kenobi, who gives him the Force, or I'm not going to get into Star Wars lore, but trains him to use the Force, transform his life. By the end of the journey, he's the hero. You got to make your customer believe that your product, your service can turn them into the hero with that big magic transformation and show why their life is going to be better. But, scripting, I could talk on for an hour, but you got to create the hero's journey. But also, you've got to fill that script with enticing hooks, not just one. People talk about the hook as a one-time event. And it's true that the most important part of your script is the opening hook, which is the first few seconds. But you can't just rely on, my hook has done all the work. Now I can keep their attention for 2 minutes. And a lot of people say, 2 minutes? Are you kidding me? Nobody watches videos that are 2 minutes long. Yeah, they do. They watch videos that are 2 hours long. Netflix is still around, but you got to earn that attention, right? You've got to create stories and create hooks that continually hook people. Every 15, 20 seconds, I like to put a hook in to make sure people don't get bored of an ad. So again, creating a story, filling it with hooks. Step 4 is adding the comedy. Now, this is where I tell people, you may be able to do everything that I've spoken about so far on your own or in-house, but I guarantee you don't have the people, unless you work in a comedy club, you don't have the people on staff to make it really funny. I don't have the people on staff to make it really funny. So what do? I have a team of 10 plus comedy writers that are freelancers. They don't work for me. They're professional comedians. They literally do stand-up comedy in clubs. And during the day, they freelance and they write for me. Now, they're not writing the script, and that's important. They're taking a script that I've already created, or that my writers have already created, that have all of the marketing copy points, and then they're just punching it up. Right? They're adding a joke here. They're twisting a line here. They're adding a visual gag here. They're doing what they do best, and they know better than anyone else. If they're in a club and they tell a joke and it bombs, they immediately get feedback. Nobody laughs, or people throw things at them, or, hecklers come out. But if they do it well, they immediately get a laugh. And so they are the best trained people to take a script and add in jokes that will get laughs. But no one comedy writer is going to make a funny sales video script. Again, if you look at the examples, each of those videos have a team of different comedy writers all collaborating. So what we do is we use Dropbox paper, but a lot of people use Google Docs or some shared document that everyone can look at and collaborate and throw their 2 cents in, and somebody else might comment on their comment, and it becomes this synergistic thing that adds every time somebody else adds something to the script. I think about, Saturday Night Live. Every Saturday they have an hour to fill. I mean, that's a daunting task. What do? During the week, they have a writer's room of 20 writers that are constantly throwing out bad ideas. Other people are making it better. and eventually they get to the time when they have to go live and they've got, something that is the best that it can be with the time that they're given.
Amazing.
Okay, that's step 4.
The office must be like full of like lava, like it's fun to work with,
It's a lot of fun, but again, like I said, the comedy writers aren't in the office. They're all over the country. In fact, some of my comedy writers work on cruise ships, so they'll literally send me photos of them sitting on the beaches in the Caribbean writing my scripts. So,
oh yeah.
Anyway, so step 5 is production, right? So the most important part in my mind is done. That's the script, and also the casting, the choosing of the actors. That's the first part of production. You could have the best script, but if you choose the wrong actor, it's going to bomb. And people are kind of shocked when I tell them, most of my videos, when you see the main actor in our video, I've probably looked at 100 actors before I pick that person. Like, let that sink in.
Filtering.
If you think that you're, the CEO of a company or the marketing director of a company and you have a script, but you want to be the actor, I mean, Dollar Shave Club did it. But what a lot of people don't know is that guy, the CEO of Dollar Shave Club, was a professional improv actor. He used to do stand-up comedy, I think in New York.
Oh, isn't he?
Yeah. So I would say 99% of you listening, even if you think you're the guy, you're not. I go through 100 actors to pick the perfect actor that looks and feels, again, going back to step 1, it's got to look and feel like the customer avatar, right? Not just, is it male? Is it female? How old are they? I'm talking, what is their personality? And if you don't have a customer avatar breakdown that talks about things like, what does your customer do during the day? What time do they wake up? What music do they listen to? What TV, what Netflix shows do they like? What do they order at Starbucks in the morning? These kinds of granular things. Now, obviously, that's just a general overview. But if you don't understand your customer on those kinds of levels, then you're never going to nail the casting because you don't know who you're looking for. So anyway, production starts with great casting. And then obviously there's a huge difference between a video, even as good as our iPhones and Androids are these days, there's something different about watching a video that was shot professionally. It looks immediately different to 95% of the other videos that are thrown up on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or whatever the platform is. There's a reason why people get iPhone results and people get professional studio results. Having said all of that, that's not as important as the script. So I would take a good script shot on an iPhone over a bad script shot by $1 million production company. But those production companies know certain tricks to get your ad to work. Okay, so step 6 is editing. I could talk forever on this, but comedy, you've heard it said, comedy is about timing. I can script, shoot, and deliver a joke, and if I edit it a certain way, it's funny, and I edit it another way, and it's not funny. Like sometimes, I think it was Martin Scorsese in his masterclass, he said, if you don't see the first edit and want to throw up, so something's wrong. Like he says, every movie that he makes, the first edit that his editor shows him, he wants to throw up. And good editing will make bad stuff good. And so finding the right editor who understands comedy, and again, if somebody says a joke, I can look at it and say, okay, take out a pause there, speed that up, slow that down, let that breathe. There's all sorts of different tricks. Cut from a wide shot to a close-up. I want to see that person's eyes when they deliver that joke. That's going to make it funny. Or I want to cut back and I want to see the whole house because that's the context of the joke. Knowing how to film it, knowing how to edit it. Editing is all about testing what works. And you got to be open to hard edits. Like, it doesn't matter if you spent 20 hours on a shot. If it's not funny, you got to cut it. It's got to go. Or if it doesn't further the sale, I should say. And then finally, on editing, for the majority of our campaigns, people are surprised to hear, we create over a dozen different versions of each video, because we want to test it. We want to test multiple hooks. We want to test the long version against the short version. We want to test a version that is widescreen for YouTube, as opposed to a portrait version that's going to go on mobile. There's all kinds of different versions that we will test. We'll test a different offer. So one offer could say, buy one, get one free. One offer could say, get 50% off. Essentially the same offer, but one will perform better than the other. So we create all these different versions. And, this is the reason why we get the kinds of results that we do, because we're not guessing. We're making informed decisions, but then we're creating multiple versions and testing and let the data show the version that you want to eventually spend, the lion's share of your budget on. So that step 7 is testing, making sure that you look at the data and you have somebody who can read the data and understand. And sometimes we'll go back to our edit after we've launched the video. We'll look at the retention curve and see where are people leaving? Where are we losing people? Okay, we need to go edit that. We need to speed that up, or we need to cut that section out because it's boring. So be open to testing. And then step 8, final step, we've already talked about this, forget going viral. You will have some virality if you've done it right. And we have thousands and thousands of comments and likes and shares on our videos. But the only metric that really matters to us is what is the ROAS of this video compared to our customers' current boring video. And that's where we really get excited when we, time and again, the customer changes nothing other than swapping out their boring video for our funny video that's using all of these principles. And I can't tell you, I can tell you, go to our website and you'll see case study after case study of customers talking about their results when we did that. I know that was a little bit long, but that's the 8-step formula. And again, you can download that free ebook, goes into a lot more detail at funnysalesvideos.com/ebook.
I will sure link it into the show notes. Amazing. Just listen to the steps there. Even if I want to replicate the whole process, it's not quite possible. Virtually, I have to find comedies and I have to do all the A/B testing, right? And putting all things together, is actually quite hard work. Did you just mention that the whole thing takes 3 months to finish? Or
Yep. Anyone that wants to work with us, I always tell them we will not do it unless you give us 3 months, because there is a very specific process, and it's like a cake. If you open the oven too soon, cake's gonna suck.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. How about what do you think about in nowadays e-commerce? They're moving sort of to the short form content right now. How does this trend affect the approach of creating a video, sales video?
Yeah. So again, like I said, what we do, it's funny. When we first started doing these, we had clients that were saying this, let's create all the different versions, but there's no way this long version is going to outperform the short version. Short form, this is what our attentions are all about, short form content. However, the vast majority, not all, and again, this is why you have to have somebody that knows how to test. The vast majority of our campaigns, the long form version, so we'll do about a 2-minute long form version, and then we'll do about a 30-second short form version, and we'll test the two. 80-90% of the time, the long form version outperforms the short form version. And why is that? It's because we've earned your attention. And David Ogilvy, one of the great marketing legends, used to say, his whole thing was more copy. The more you tell, the more you'll sell. Well, in today's society, that doesn't really work until you earn their attention and keep their attention. So I'm still a huge believer that, if you can overcome the boring factor, long form still works. However, again, we create multiple different versions. We test them. There's some platforms where you can't run a 2-minute ad. So we still test all different formats, and it has to be let the data decide.
What I'm about to say is like we create short form could be because like we don't have enough time or resources to create long form, and that might validate the idea is like if we can create a good long form, that will always outperform just a normal short form.
I wouldn't say always. Again, it's sometimes we are surprised that the short form does outperform the long form, but we would never know that if we didn't test. So, again, I hate to sound like a broken record. We're just a creative shop. We don't run ads. We work with partner agencies when our clients don't do that in-house, or when they don't have an agency already. We refer them to partners that we've worked with. But you've got to really look at all of that data, and you got to have a good person that understands, because you can interpret data the wrong way if you don't know what you're doing. But yeah, I mean, it's all about giving our media buying partners all of the different options that they can lay out, and test a little bit of money on each one, so you're not wasting much. But once you get to the statistically significant data, then you can say, okay, I know for sure, this long form version with this hook and this offer in this format on this platform, that's working the best. But you have to continue to test, right? Because you've got creative fatigue. How do you know when that ad is stopping is not getting the results it used to? And again, that's why you got to constantly look at that data. And a lot of our clients, True Earth is a great example. We've done like 15 campaigns for them so far over the past 4-5 years, because every 3 months or so, their ad would start to see diminishing returns, and so we knew it was time to start the new ad. In fact, what we would do is we would release one and immediately start the next one, because we know it's 3 months to produce.
What are the because we help clients to run crowdfunding campaign. We also help like people to launch on different platforms like Amazon or Shopify. So who do you think is the ideal audience to say one of our clients who sell bamboo chopsticks? Is that going to be your audience, or is it has to be something that is unique to be?
No, that's a great question. And a lot of, I kind of chuckle. A lot of clients will, get on a discovery call with me, and they'll say, I'm not sure if our audience, I don't know if our product is right for funny, or I don't know that our audience is right for humor. And my response is always the same. Is your customer a human being? And I know that sounds funny, but it doesn't matter what you're selling. It doesn't matter what your audience is. Everyone loves a good story. Everyone loves to smile, and everyone loves to laugh. Now, I'll put a huge caveat out there. You have to, again, going back to step one, you have to understand who is your customer, because a video for a C-suite lead gen campaign for a SaaS product is going to be orders of magnitude different to a video about a acne cream for a teenager. These scripts couldn't be more different. You've got to write to that person. You've got to write your letter to whoever's on the envelope. And so your humor, your jokes need to be so much more intelligent for the C-suite. They need to be so much more relevant, talking about what are the problems that C-suite executive is facing every day. Now let's make fun of those problems. Let's bring up jokes that are going to make that C-suite laugh and say, that just happened to me yesterday. More importantly, you got to make that actor feel like, oh, that's me. I relate to that. And so when that person in the video finds the solution, you're that much closer to saying, well, if that solution solves their problem, it'll solve my problem because I'm like that. Whereas the teenage acne cream, it's going to be so much more silly, and it's going to, use language. I mean, I hate to admit it, but a lot of the time I'll go to my teenage kids and I'll ask them, what are people, what's the lingo today? And we'll literally get people on the writing team that I have no idea what this means, but it's funny to them, right? So you've got to test to your audience. So again, to answer your question, doesn't matter what the product is, doesn't matter what the audience is. It matters that you understand both and can script to them.
Right, yeah. Talking to the right demographic. Gen Z is even then like boomer, like lingo, I guess. Right?
Exactly.
So early on, you did mention as well, like one video, like they were viral enough, or they were like gaining traction enough.
Yes.
To go into billboard or go into retail, right? So what benefit are there other than immediate sales, or the asset, that residuals that we can get from a video like that?
Yeah, so the biggest benefit, I would say, other than immediate sales, are that you're getting, everyone hates ads, right? I mean, let's face it, people, that's not something that anyone would ever say, I want to watch an ad. But if you go to our videos and look through the thousands, I think tens of thousands on some of our videos of comments, over and over and over, we see the comment, I watched this ad all the way through and I don't know why. Like literally people say, I loved this ad, and they'll tag their friends. You got to watch this ad. This is you. This is me. I thought this made me think of you. And so immediately you're creating this branding, this community, this tribe of people who relate to you. So that's number one, is you're creating this brand awareness and this following, even if nobody has ever heard of you before. It's like 7 impressions in one. Like, the old days of advertising, we used to say it takes 7 impressions before they actually listen to you and acknowledge you and decide if they're going to do something. I think now it's more like 20 plus or even higher.
Yeah.
But when you sit down and watch one of our videos, it's like we're giving you this huge multiple, experience that's worth so many more than just one impression, because they remember you, they like you, they engage with you. But then again, like I mentioned earlier, we've seen all of these trickle down effects of, people wanting to go to their store and asking the store manager, do you sell this product? People that have, gone into communities, and bloggers have talked about it. We actually had one guy that did a parody of our ad, like a YouTuber that did a parody, did a review of our ad, talking about why this was such a good ad. I mean, when you get results like that, you're connecting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, a good video. I mean, normally, like, we post or we email, sometimes they don't open, sometimes they just get lost from social media. But a good video, it's gonna be like worth maybe at least 5 to 7 touch point already. So
right,
that's all the work already without you doing the sales. So that's the power of creating like a funny video, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow, it's 40 minutes already. Like, thank you so much.
Time flies.
Yeah, exactly. I enjoy it, like, just to imagine all the steps and things. It's just like I enjoy it. Like, to be your position, it's gonna be, it must be fun to be.
Oh, I love my job. Nothing I'd rather do. It's not work, it's play.
Yeah, yeah. Right. Okay. So if you want to find you, I guess the books, right, and the website, I'm sure links to show notes. So where else can they find you?
I'm a bit of a hypocrite. I'm not as good as doing social media for myself as I have for my clients, but LinkedIn is probably the best place to connect with me. I also mentioned, I think before we started this screening, I'll throw out a free special offer to anyone that's listening that thinks, maybe this is something that I should learn a little bit more about and possibly do for my brand. If you're spending, close to or at least 10,000 a month on ads, me and my team will create 3 concepts for you. So remember when we talked about brainstorming, we'll go through that exercise for you and come up with 3 what we consider to be ready to produce concepts, not finished scripts, but concepts that we can present to you as these are three good ideas of what a funny sales video for your brand, with your product, with your avatar would look and feel like. So if you want to jump on that, just you can shoot me an email, joseph@funnysalesvideos.com. Mention that you heard this podcast. We'll jump on a Zoom and me and my team will go away. It takes us about a week to come up with 3 concepts that we'll pitch you with a mini storyboard for each one. So there's a free offer just for your audience.
There you go, guys. I know most of you guys is doing like 7 figures right now. And I know that you guys are having like more than 3 or 4 products at least, like as an ASIN, because that's the nature of Amazon store, right? So if you guys think like your product cannot go funny, just shoot Joseph an email.
I challenge you.
Just ask about it, right? I'm sure that you're gonna get surprised on what happened next, right? All right, thank you, Joseph. I enjoyed it a lot, and I hope to get you on board again next time. And for today's episode, I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you, Joseph.